Hey guys, what is up? It is me, Pagey, here once again with another video. Actually, it's our first video, might I say, on Legends of Tomorrow Season 4. So yesterday, from when I'm uploading this video, I guess, we had the awesome finale of the Legends of Tomorrow Season 3, which ended in just such a crazy but typical Legends way with a giant Bebo fighting the demon known as Malice. That was all, or Malice, because he was getting a bit annoyed because people were mispronouncing his name, so Malice. And yeah, that was just crazy. And then we obviously ended off the entire season, I guess, with that end scene with Constantine showing up, having a bag, a casual bag full of something, or something, might I say, pulls it off, and there's a dragon head in there, like a severed dragon head. So what the hell is going on? And what Constantine follows is that when they released Malice, that wasn't all that was released. There was other things released, which you'd have to think is a dragon, but there's, yeah, some other stuff to come. So it does look like some things maybe from the underworld or something like that are coming, but I will quickly play that clip from the end of the season again, just so you can watch it once again, I guess.
Hey, idiot. Get out of here. This is a private beach.
Fancy meeting you lot out here.
Constantine?
Did you really think I was him? It's me.
Gary, Ray obviously has been day drinking.
The wig's too much, right?
No, it's very presidential.
Gary, what do you want?
He's been with me, love. Oh, I need a word with you, sorry lot. Now. Whose brilliant idea was it to let an ancient demon out of his bloody cage?
Sarah's.
Well, you opened the door, love. And Malice wasn't the only thing that got out.
So, yeah, the big question is, what is going to be going down in Season 4 of Legends of Tomorrow? They weren't very like, oh, this is going to happen. They're pretty vague. They just sort of give you a little tease and go, okay, figure out what you want from this and just see if you're right, I guess. So really, when we dive into it, there is obviously going to be a few things that are up to, you know, be the general premise for next season's main story. But the one we are going to be going over in this video is that Legends of Tomorrow might be adding the flavor, I guess if you want to call it that, of another team from the DC universe into the show, and that is, of course, as you can tell by the title, Justice League Dark. So firstly, who are Justice League Dark? Well, to keep it simple, the members of Justice League Dark are seen as like official Justice League members, I guess, but this part of the league specializes in dealing with supernatural threats rather than the threats we would see the normal Justice League deal with. Now, on Legends next season, if this does happen, I'm not saying we're going to be getting, you know, Justice League Dark, and that's what they will be calling themselves, but the show will have their own take on something similar and even introduce a few familiar characters throughout the season that have been associated with that side of the league in the past throughout the comics, some of which we will go over today in this video. Now, we're not going to be going over every single possible option as to who could possibly, you know, be coming in. Just a few that I think would not only be cool to have on the show, but ones that would also fit into the show as well. That's one thing that's really important because Legends, like one of its big assets is the chemistry between the cast. So whichever character comes in, they sort of have to fit the show. Now, I'm not saying these characters will be joining the Legends, but they are characters that could show up throughout the season, you know, for like 1 or 2 episode arcs or something like that. But of course, before we get into the rest of the video, be sure to let me know in the comments section down below what character you would want to come into Legends next season, you know, that's associated with Justice League Dark or like the supernatural side of the DC universe. Just let me know in the comments section down below. And of course, if you're going to enjoy the video, be sure to drop a like on it and subscribe to the channel if you are new. So first up is Pandora. Now in the comics, Pandora was from around the year 8000 BC roughly, and one day when out looking for supplies, as you do back in those days, she came across this like weird looking skull, which when she interacted with it, released a bunch of spirits belonging to demons known as the 7 deadly sins, or otherwise known as the 7 deadly enemies of man. Now we should all know those sins, you know, pride, envy, greed, wrath, sloth, gluttony, and lust. Now, the spirits of these deadly sins actually ended up messing with her village and leading them to actually murder each other. Now, due to releasing them, Pandora is punished and is made eternal and forced to wander the earth in constant pain, which includes these sort of scars on her face that would be constantly hurting or burning. Now, Pandora also plays a part in the Flashpoint story from the comics, to say the least, and she also did play a part in the DC Universe Rebirth from like, well, 2 years ago, I guess now. On Legends, I believe she would be a character that could actually be a recurring character for this season. This is the only one we will be putting into that sort of role throughout this video. The rest are just going to be like short appearances throughout the season. But Pandora, I think would be a good addition to the team as a whole. The Legends could come across her whilst she is, well, walking the earth to say, and she could be connected to whoever the big bad is for the season, which we will jump into later on and list a few options for that side of the season. Now, Pandora is a magical character, as you would expect, but she also is good in like hand-to-hand combat with guns and swords and all of that. So if they are dealing with, a week or like an episode where it's not really magical but just hand-to-hand combat, she could get involved in that and it would be believable. Next up is a character known as the Phantom Stranger, who is part of a group known as the Trinity of Sin, which also includes our friend Pandora, who we just talked about, and also another popular character known as the Question. And just like Pandora, he is eternal, so he's been sort of punished with that the curse of being eternal, I guess. There is actually another fun fact with the Phantom Stranger, though, and that is that he is actually Judas. Yes, that Judas. His story is that he committed suicide after portraying your boy Jesus, but never went to heaven or hell, but went somewhere else where he was punished for what he had done. Now, he has some pretty cool powers, which would be pretty sick to see play out on screen on Legends, but he would be a character that I would have on the show for like 1 or 2 episodes. Whether Pandora organizes to meet him or the Legends come across him in some other manner. One of his coolest abilities is that of chronokinesis, which is essentially the ability to like pause time. You could get a really cool sequence or 2 in episodes of that. We even saw it earlier this season where Rip has that like weapon, that grenade, which really slows down time. Doesn't pause it completely, but slows down time almost like to like flash levels, I guess. And he's just walking around. So we could get a really cool sequence with the Phantom Stranger and that ability. You could also bring in the Question as well if you wanted to, but I think a lot of people want to see that character on Arrow or a show like that. So I don't necessarily think he's necessary on the show. I think, Phantom Stranger would be the better option. So yeah, maybe leave the Question for a future appearance on Arrow. And next up is simply Swamp Thing. Do I really have to say anything else? I mean, it's Swamp Thing. Like really, how awesome would that be? Yes, I know it would be expensive, but come on, this would just be really cool to see on screen, even if it was only for like a portion of an episode. Constantine and Swamp Thing, are pretty tight, so why not venture down to the green and chill out with our buddy, or our old buddy Swamp Thing? It's unlikely, but one can dream. Next up is actually Jason Blood, who is, in his other form, known as Etrigan the Demon. This once again would be an expensive one to do due to CGI, but the thing that goes in favour of this option is that it's the fact that there is a non-CGI human side or form to this option. Jason Blood in the comics was a leader in the studies of like demonology and has actually been alive since around the year 500 roughly. He has lived this long as the wizard known as Merlin actually bound Etrigan the Demon to Jason's soul. So if he were to appear in an episode or 2, they would only have to show him in his Etrigan form, once, twice, or a few times for fight sequences or something like that. Personally, I think it would be sick to see that go down. 2 other options that some were saying, but I'm not the biggest fan of, so I'm not going to dive too deep into them, are Mind Warp as well as Black Orchid. They have been in the Justice League Dark, previously, and I think Black Orchid's in it at the moment, so I'm not too sure. But yeah, fair enough if you would like to see them, they're just not for me personally. I think their abilities are pretty basic, and I think the ones I've listed would be more interesting to see. Now, I know people are going, Zatanna, Paigey, Zatanna, you miss Zatanna. Yeah, Zatanna could be an option, but we've seen her in Smallville, so I'd like something a bit different maybe. But yeah, they could bring Zatanna in as well. One theory that I did have is that they could maybe turn Zari into Zatanna, just because I don't know what they're going to do with Zari next season. People might not like that because Zari is actually already a comic book character. Would they really want to make Zari into another comic book character? Probably not. But that's one thing they could do. But yeah, Zatanna is another option that I'm sure a lot of people would want to see. I wouldn't mind seeing her as well, but I thought I'd list a couple of different options. If I had to choose between Zatanna and Pandora, I'd definitely go Pandora. In regards to the villains for the season, here are a few options. The first one is the 7 deadly enemies of man, who are the spirits that Pandora released. That would be pretty cool. It would tie into Pandora, and there's the connection between her and the main villains. That would be pretty cool. There's the Demons 3, who are actually connected to Felix Faust from Constantine Season 1. Not in this universe they're connected, but in the comics there is a connection there between the Demons 3 and Felix Faust. And if they wanted to do that on the show, there's your connection already, and Constantine might have heard of them through Felix Faust and stuff. So that's a possible option there. It would be pretty cool as well. And finally, the final villain I thought I'd chuck in is actually Nick Nero, or Nick Nolan. He goes by 2 names, I guess, who is a, familiar character to Constantine. They could take a story from the comics in regards to him if they wanted to. And also, he's connected to Zatanna, might I say, as well. So I guess if they use Nick Nero, they could also use Zatanna if they wanted to. But yeah, Nick Nero is another option that I'm sure a lot of people might say would want to see. Another thing that they could do if they do this whole Justice League Dark thing, or even if they don't, just something they could do next season is actually incorporate Ragman into Legends of Tomorrow season 4. People have been crying out for Ragman to come back, whether it be on Arrow, where he, was first appearing in this universe, or he could be on Legends. And I think this would be the perfect time to bring Ragman onto Legends and actually explore more of his abilities. On Arrow, they really didn't explore his abilities at all. Like, his main ability was like, my rags have tentacles. That was about it. So on Legends, they could explore much more the supernatural side of his character, which I think would be awesome. So I think Ragman would be a good character to bring in for this season. And the last thing to talk about in regards to a new character is an actor that we've already had on the show this season and also last season, and that is Maisie Richardson Sellers, who played Amaya. Now, Amaya, as we would have seen in the Legends of Tomorrow season 3 finale, went back to Zambezi in 1940s or whatever it was. She's staying there. She's not coming back. But the actress is actually going to be in next season as a new character. Katie Lotz actually accidentally, might I say, said at Klexicon over the past weekend, when speaking to Maisie, saying your new character, referring to Legends and referring to a new character that she will be playing. And Maisie sort of quickly tapped Katie and said yo, shut up, what the hell, you've just spoiled that.
I want to read something about that picture. Well, maybe your new character. Maybe like one day.
So she's coming back next season as a new character. So what character is this going to be? So I guess the easy one is that she could be like a multiverse version of Amaya, a descendant or an ancestor of Amaya that just looks like her. That could be what they do, which I think is the more likely option. But something that they could do is actually take a character that is connected to the Justice League Dark stuff in the DC universe that is actually called Amaya, but is more commonly known as Amethyst. So that's something that they could do. She's called Amaya in the comics. We have Amaya on the show. That'd be pretty nice, like a nice reference there if they wanted to do that. So that's something that they could do. So if Maisie Richardson Sellers does come back next season as a character known as Amethyst, that's actually a reference because she's otherwise known as Amaya in the comics as well. So keep your eyes and ears out for that one. But obviously we will hear more about Legends and its upcoming season, obviously leading up to Comic-Con and stuff like that, which is in the middle of July. So it's a bit of a wait, but hopefully it's worth it and we find more about what's going down this season. But thanks for watching, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, it'd be awesome if you could drop a like on the video to show support. Let me know in the comment section down below your various opinions. What did you think of the options I brought up? Did I miss out on any obvious ones that you would include? Just let me know in the comment section down below. And of course, if you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe. I'll catch you later, guys. Goodbye.